Hey everybody, Jim and Scott here to talk about Star Trek. Now Scott, the third Star Trek movie in the rebooted series is going to be shooting this year and wants to come out next year in the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. And we started thinking lately that with all these old TV shows coming back to TV, you got X-Files coming back,
Yep.
Evil Dead,
Twin Peaks
coming back. Could Star Trek come back as a TV series, coexist with the film series, and be able on the small screen to kind of do the things that the big budget feature film version of Star Trek can't really do, to kind of bring it back to its roots in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can, and I think it should, and I hope it does.
Yeah.
I see, well, like you said, so you have Twin Peaks, you have X-Files, these things well, Twin Peaks is definitely happening, X-Files might be happening.
Yeah.
Then you have Evil Dead, which is a movie becoming a TV show. But these are all things from a certain time period, right?
Right.
Which there's still great interest in. And I say, why not bring back the Next Generation cast in some kind of like Netflix series or a mini series to Fargo
TV
type
movies,
thing?
anything.
They're all still around. Most of them would be dying to do it, probably.
Patrick Stewart is never more popular than
he's huge. He just came back to do his Professor Xavier role again, right after we thought that was done.
Right.
So he would probably be the toughest one to get on board, but I could see it happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
And I think the numbers would be there for the interested parties. I think people would watch it. I think it would be a pop culture kind of event, and it wouldn't affect the big screen movies at all.
You could keep going with your more kind of action-focused kind of storytelling and allow Star Trek to do what Star Trek always did best, which was it was a cerebral show. That's what differentiated it from other science fiction, why it wasn't just Star Wars, a space opera adventure, and that's not disparaging Star Wars, just saying that it is an apples and oranges kind of thing.
Yeah.
And with all this rumblings that they want to make the next Star Trek movie like Guardians of the Galaxy, or we've already seen the Star Wars influence on Star Trek, and you've talked about that before. That sort of this would allow hardcore Trek fans to get their fix of what Star Trek was, delve into the kinds of issues and topics and stories that Star Trek did better than most other shows, and keep it alive in the broader kind of pop culture.
Right.
As a big event movie.
Yeah, and maybe the popularity of the movies would help feed in a new audience to a new next generation. If you brought the Next Generation back, it doesn't have to strictly stay to the regimented idea of what that show was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You could bring back other characters from other series, perhaps. I mean, there were 3 different shows that existed all in that same time period, so you could bring
DS9.
And I think that also there's a lot of behind-the-scenes talent, directors and writers and producers who are huge fans of Star Trek, who would love to get the chance to write Star Trek.
What if Bryan Singer came aboard to be an executive producer or something?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
On bringing back Next Gen to TV. Now, obviously, it would be it's a Viacom-owned property. They own Paramount. So they would have to find, if it was either to come back to TV or streaming, which could actually might work better, and that kind of thing, where you could kind of binge watch these new adventures.
Yeah.
I think that's a possibility. I really think that I love Star Trek, and I do enjoy the movies, or 1.5 of the new series of movies.
Best, yeah.
But I think the small screen has allowed Star Trek the breathing room to basically go where many shows have not gone before and explore those things. And the movies are never going to be cerebral at this point. They're becoming louder, bigger. I mean, Justin Lin, I think, is going to make an exciting film, but will it really be a Star Trek movie? I don't know. I think it suggests.
We know so little about that movie at this point, but the writing is on the wall. And this isn't just Star Trek. I mean, big Hollywood productions in general, there's a bit of a dumbing down that has happened in genre movies, and that's not going to change as international box office becomes more and more important. movies have to be made they have to be simplified a little bit to some degree.
I think the only person who can get away with not doing that is somebody like a Nolan.
Yeah.
And or it lies, cerebral sci-fi kind of lies in indie films like Looper and things like that. The smaller fare. I mean, I guess it's not an indie film; it's a Sony movie, but that kind of smaller fare.
Right.
So yeah. Well, we think Star Trek Next Generation could be the key to keeping Star Trek alive on the small screen, even as it still lives long, hopefully, and prospers on the big screen. So we want to hear from you. What do you think of that idea? Do you have any other ideas about maybe how Star Trek could coexist on the big and small screen? Or should it just be in one medium or the other? So let us know in the comments. And for all things Star Trek, keep it here on IGN.